We shall all agree that in COVID-19 pandemic has changed the face of education system, with online teaching emerging as a savior in these troubled times. However, it does present to us certain challenges. One of those challenges is our topic for today. Sitting at our home, at our comfort zone, we definitely have given a tough time to one of the basic values of our life called discipline. They say the level of success is determined by your level of discipline and perseverance. We at Silverline Prestige School believe in raising children with character and value, not just scholars with literacy. This is yet another webinar on motivational series by Silverline Prestige School. And I, Nadiya Tyagi, the teacher coordinator, along with my two student coordinators, Divyansh Nagar and Tanishka Tyagi, extend a warm welcome to our resource person who's very, very humble, but yet a prominent personality in the education field, Miss Manisha Mohan, ma'am. Ma'am, we welcome you.
Thank
Manisha
you.
ma'am is Dean School of Design, UPES, Dehradun. University of Petroleum and Energy Studies is a leading university in Dehradun that offers specialization in engineering, computer sciences, health sciences, management, law, and design. She is also a member of CII National Design Committee and has recently taken on the responsibility of an additional school within UPES called School of Life, which seeks to build the students with 21st century youth. I also extend my warm welcome to Dr. C.S. Nair, Dean Skill and Competency Building, Silverline Prestige School. I hereby, without wasting much time, would like to invite our resource person to start over. Manisha ma'am, the mic is all yours.
Thank you so much, Nadiya, for the wonderful introduction. And thank you, students, for being there. I know it is not easy during the pandemic with so many online classes to be there for yet another session. But it is really wonderful for each one of you who are here. I think values and discipline, it goes without saying, are very important to all of us, and it should be considered at every stage of our learning. So we're here to discuss this interesting topic together. Now, I hope you can all see what I'm showing you, the slides. What I feel is that every one of us has a special talent. Some of you are good at drawing. Some of you are good at dancing. Some are very good at studies. Some are not so good. Some are good at coding. Everybody is different, but you have that special talent. And I know that each of you will know what your special talent is. So it makes you special, it makes you unique. It's something that you really love to do. And one day you want to end up doing that for the rest of your life, maybe. But then do you want in the future to be a big artist or a big computer science specialist or a big multimillionaire? What do you want to be? Do you want to be big? Or do you want to be great? So that is a basic question. Does any of you know, can you give me an example of somebody who you feel is great? You can put it in your chat box. Is there anyone that you feel, this person is great? So some examples. Elon Musk, yeah. My parents, yes, absolutely. No one greater than one's parents. Wonderful answer. Abdul Kalam, yeah, even I really, truly admire Abdul Kalam. For me, my mother is great. Yes, absolutely. Mothers are the best. And parents, goes without saying. Parents. So we want to also, we love our parents, we admire them, we respect them, Swami Vivekanand. Very much so, very much so. So these are such inspiring names, such inspiring people. There is so much to learn from them. And it's not about them being the richest or them having the maximum possessions. Yes, teachers. I was waiting to hear that. I'm sure that all your wonderful teachers would love to hear this, and I know that you admire all of them very much. So that's great to see. So these are all very important people in our lives who we look up to and who we get inspired by. And truly, they are great. Whereas when you're big, it is about maybe you're making a lot of money, maybe you're famous, but maybe you're not looked at in the same way as a great person. So, what makes a person big and what makes a person great? I'm sure all of you want to be great like Abdul Kalam. You all want to be great like your teachers. So, this whole discussion is going to be a little bit about how to be great in whatever you want to do. And our values are very important in achieving our goals. So, can you give me some examples of values that you know of? Let's put it in the chat box. Any values that you feel are important to you? Family value. That's nice. Respect. Respect is so important. Patience. Patience, much needed. And I'm sure the COVID pandemic has also led you to discover certain values, certain important values of that have been there. What has COVID led you to discover? This whole period when you've been locked at home, yes, be grateful definitely for being alive and for being healthy and for being able to spend so much time with our families, being confident, honesty, respect, gratitude. Absolutely. Wonderful. So, just like you become computer literate, or you get to know your numbers, or you get to know language, it is also important for you to understand what values are about. It's important for you to really become value literate. And that's all about understanding all the values that are there, all the possible values, and be able to choose which value to apply where, depending on the situation. Or because it's like a wonderful palette of colors that you have with you, and you can choose which value to choose when there are situations of conflict, so that you are able to make the right choice, right decision as a good person and as a great person.
So here, Manisha ma'am, I would like to cite a question which one of our YouTube, they have there's a member who's asked this question, who says, could it be, can a person be both big and great?
Person can be big and great, but it's not necessary that all big people are great. All great people are big.
That's true.
So, yeah, so let's watch a little film together. And then I want you to tell me what values you see in it. It's a short little film. I hope it displays okay for all of you. And I hope all of you like animation. Oh, sorry. this is an award-winning film. And I want you to just think about what values you felt that little camera, the camera that got broken, what values does it display? Self-motivation, creativity, never give up, not giving up. Yes, that's right. Hope. Wonderful, wonderful. So you just got to the right ones. Finding positive in difficult situations. That's exactly self-confidence. Like it kept trying and then it came up with something so unique and creative and different. Wonderful. So you've got it. And what about the girl? Did she display any values? No? Emotional. Acceptance later, yes. But there was a sense of doubt. She didn't trust her camera, but she loved it. So you must trust the people that love you. Acceptance and love. Respect people and they'll respect you. So good answers. So you all know what values are for sure. Wonderful. Thank you. Now, when we look at values for life, we really want to think of values that will make us achieve our goals. At the end of the day, there are so many things that are changing around us. There are new technologies. Now, we never thought that we would be learning online. We'd be learning on our phones or on our computers. We never thought of so many changes happening in the world. Everything changes. Your country is changing, your studies, there's so many changes in the way they happen. The way you play is changing, everything changes. So there is also going to be a lot of change by the time all of you grow up. I know many of you are in different classes, right from 6th standard to 12th standard. This 12th standard students would be more ready for the future and the future in terms of jobs, etc. Of course, your main worry is what specialization to take, what college will I get into, and those sort of things. But the world is changing, jobs are changing. So how do you prepare for life and yet, if you really achieve your talent or achieve what you want to do with your life, how do you not lose sight of your vision for yourself? How do you achieve that despite the fact that there is so much change around you? So values are what really take you forward, and values are what is already there within you. So you are in control of your future always. One important aspect to look at is that you need to be healthy. And by health, it means, first of all, you must know yourself, you must know what it is to be and what it is to just take care of your fitness, your overall health, and the way you live, the lifestyle that you choose. Your heart. Your heart should always be caring. There are so many people in your life that are dependent on you, even though you're young, but your parents, your family, maybe your younger sister, your elder sister, your friends, your teachers. So you have to be caring towards all of them. Relating. It sometimes is not so easy to relate to some people who are different. So there may be other children who are maybe from a different city, or they speak a different language, or maybe from a different country. Sometimes it's not so easy to relate to them, but relating is very important, and you have to do it with your heart. And then your hands are there. Now, with your hands, it is important to give. It's very important to always, your hands should be such that you should be in a position to give more than to take. Always keep that in mind. And with your hands, you also work. So how you work is important, and we'll talk about it a little bit more. Then there is your head, from where you manage things. You plan, you do time management, and you look at what is right and what is wrong, and you try to do the best work which is going to get you the best job later, or which will help you follow your dreams. And it's important to keep thinking. And what's the kind of thinking that's important for the future? That's something we're going to discuss. So you see that everything, all values are somewhere within yourself. What's important is really to know yourself better. That's the first step, to discover. Know who you are, know what you like, know what you love to do. That's very important. So let's start with the first one. We talked about being as a part of discovering yourself better. So you need to know yourself, you need to have self discipline. Discipline is very important, and I put that right in front because discipline doesn't always mean that you have to wear your school uniform right and you have to tie your shoelaces. That is, of course, important. But what is really, really important is, if you have a dream, you should have the discipline to follow a regime so that you can achieve your dreams. If you're a good artist, you need to have your sketchbook. You need to paint and sketch every day. If you're a good writer, then you need to write, you need to read, you need to research, and that discipline should be there. It has to be the discipline to follow your dreams. That's really important. And also to manage commitments. Because if you tell someone that, yes, I'm going to eat my lunch on time, then you must eat your lunch on time. Or if your teacher tells you that you have to be here on time, then you should be there before time. So these are little traits that maybe you don't realize it's important, and maybe it's like a little irritating because you have to wake up early, or you have to maybe catch a bus early or to reach on time. But it will really help you in the long run. And also managing feelings. Sometimes things are not easy. Maybe in class, maybe your pen has got lost, or your favorite book has got lost, or something has broken. But you have to be strong, and you have to manage your feelings well. Or if you don't like something around you, you have to manage it well. It's not, you shouldn't just give away to all your feelings, but you have to, it's important to express yourself, but also manage your feelings well, so that nobody else gets hurt or affected. And always it's very important to have self confidence and self belief. That goes without saying, that you should always believe in yourself, that you are the best, you have the strength to do whatever you imagine for yourself, and the confidence that you will be able to achieve your dreams. Then the next word we talked about was living. What does living mean? And what are the important aspects that go into it? A healthy lifestyle. So it's important to eat right, exercise regularly, and generally don't maybe spend too much time on playing games and on the computer. Be out and play, be with I mean, there is such a wonderful breeze outside. Go out and be with nature, and that's how you will become more healthy also. Of course, when there is a lockdown, you have to stay home and find ways of being healthy at home. Stress management. Now, this is something that maybe those of you who are younger may not experience to the extent as some of the older students who are waiting for their boards, or they are trying to get into colleges. So there is a lot of stress at this stage, and life gets more and more complicated. So you have to first get into a college, then get a job. So there's always different things that you're working towards, and it's not always easy. But one has to keep cool and always keep something to do beyond that. Maybe follow your hobby, or find a way to manage your own stress. And also keep healthy and safe. Disease prevention, of course, is a lot in your own hands. You take the COVID situation, if you're careful, then it will not affect you. But if you are careless, then it can have problems. So wear your mask, or you just look at simple things that you can do to protect yourself. And your safety, of course, is very important. So, everything that it takes to keep yourself safe while your parents are there to protect you, to take care of you. But maybe when you're crossing the road and you're alone, you have to make sure that you are safe and others on the road are also safe. And maybe you can also help others. And talking about helping, I also talked about the heart part of it and how caring is important, nurturing relationships. So when you're young, you're there with your parents and with your family, your sister, your brother, your friends. It's important to build those relationships. Nurturing is just like, I mean, you're taking care of a flower, care of a pet. You have to understand what their needs are and take care. You have to water a plant and you have to take care of it. So it's important to nurture relationships. And as you get older, these relationships are very important. And these relationships may impact your career and they may impact your success in the future. Sharing is also very important. It's if somebody gives you something you really like, it could be some food or it can be some toys. It's important to give and share always, and this value will be useful for you later also. Maybe it may be that you have an understanding of some things that you learned in maths and you want to help somebody else. Of course, not sharing when the exams are going on, that would be cheating. But before that, try to help others, because the amount you gain from sharing is much bigger than you gain from taking from someone. And there should always be a concern for others. So you should always look at how much you can give to others, how much you can take care of others. It could be an elderly person in your family, your grandmother, or maybe somebody in your class who is not so bright or who is disabled. Or maybe if you're maybe you see sometimes there are beggars on the road and they do not have basic access to maybe a home or education. So wherever you can help and show concern for others, it is really a great value. And empathy. Now, empathy is a big word, but it simply means that can I get into someone else's shoes and really understand what their pain is? I don't have this pain, but somebody else has got some hurt or some pain, and can I help them? So it's important to put yourself in somebody else's shoe and have empathy. And in the long run, even when we are working online and even when we are all grown up, we have to have empathy for people we never see, because we are actually meeting people on the internet. We are working with them. Companies are working across with people that they will never meet or see. But they have to understand that this person is from the US or this person is from a different country. That's why they will not know how to do something, or they may like something different from me. So having empathy will really help you in the long run. Then the other word that we learned was relating, which is really about how you cooperate with others. How you sometimes have to do your homework in teams or groups, and sometimes when you're playing a sport, it's important to cooperate with others. You're playing football or you're playing cricket. It's important to do. I mean, without cooperation, how can your team win? Communication is very important at every stage, and communication in a way that the other person understands. So, talking to each other and relating to each other, even sometimes communication may not be something positive, it may be something you have to give bad news to someone, but it's important to communicate. Or if you've forgotten to get something, it's important to honestly communicate. No matter, sometimes communication has to be done in difficult circumstances, but saying it in the right way. Managing conflicts. Now, this is something where if there is a fight, maybe your friends are fighting, How do you make sure that you help them make a bridge, make friends again? It's very important to be that that glue between people and manage difficult situations, manage conflicts. Later on, when you start working in a workplace, there will be conflicts because there will be people from different specializations or maybe different companies. Maybe your client or your customer is angry about something, and you have to learn how to deal with them in a calm, collected way and solve the problem. But managing conflicts, it starts right where you are. All these things really, they will help you in the future, but they start in the sixth standard or in the first standard when you're a child. All these values are important. And also understanding differences. Now, as we are going for more and more of a global world, you'll see more and more maybe children from the US, children from UK, children from Europe. We are all together, either physically present in the same space or maybe even online, because there is so much access across the world. And you will have differences from the economic strata point of view also. There are some who are richer, some who are poorer, and they could be differences within India also. Everyone comes from a different state, the languages are different. So understanding these differences and not saying that, okay, this one is not from my community, so I'm not going to talk to them, or this one is not from my state, I'm not going to talk to them. So these are, it's important to understand that people are different, but they're all good, they're all nice people, and you can make friends with them. Giving. So when uh, when I showed you that picture, the hands was an important part, and from the hands you give, and it's very important to be committed to the community. So there would be people around you. It could be a village nearby where there is a school where you can contribute some time. Maybe you can give some of your toys to another child, or give in some way or the other in the best way that you feel. Maybe if you find that there is someone hungry, give your tiffin, because there should be a way that you can give in from whatever, in whatever way you can. Always think of how I can benefit people around me. And leadership, one always thinks that leadership means power, and you see that maybe it is something like you have to really look up to someone and be scared of someone. But the most important attribute of a leader is the ability to give. So it is very much a trait that is linked to giving, just to remember that. And you have to be also a responsible citizen. So there are so many rules and so many laws. First of all, you must know the different laws in India. How do you, make sure that you understand how taxes are paid, you pay them on time? How do you make sure that even say crossing the road, you are following the rules and the guidelines? You understand the driving rules. At every stage, the rules will increase. When you join a company, there are certain ethical principles that you have to follow. When you're in a college, you have to be ethical and responsible and try to do the right thing at every stage. So it is important, an important part of giving is to be responsible to the community that you belong and the country that you're in. And in a small way, while you are in the classroom, uh, it's, if you're put in a group project, maybe it's a science project or it is something where other children are also there. How do you contribute? How do you give from your side? It shouldn't be that you're standing on the outskirts and everybody else is doing all the work. You must give, uh, contribute your ideas, maybe help in some way or the other. Working, again, working is done with your hands. So this involves, of course, determination. We saw that in that broken camera. It worked hard to find a solution, and you always have to never, I mean, you can never give up when you're working, because challenges come, problems come. but it is important to be determined at every stage. And if you take the world today, so much has changed, and even the last year with COVID, so many companies faced problems. There were so many losses, and yet they kept going forward, and so many survived because of determination. Teamwork is very important. When you're working, quite often you're working in teams because it's impossible almost to work alone. You're always working for someone, with someone, and always to consider other people's strengths and other people's talents while working with them. Don't try to be the only one taking all the attention. Always try to work collaboratively with a team. And integrity is another important part of working. Be honest, because now I we have a design college now. Sometimes a child has made a drawing or a sketch, and he or she may copy it from somewhere or take somebody else's sketch. So that is in itself something that it's not an honest thing to do. If you're cheating in exams, that's also question mark in integrity. But as these are simple challenges where there is a black and white answer. But as the world is changing, there is new technology, world is getting global, new challenges are there. You always have to see what is the right way forward. Is it this or is it that? And your heart will tell you which is the direction to take. And it should always be the honest path. And sometimes being honest is not the easiest way forward. Sometimes you have to take the tougher way forward in order to keep the integrity. Self motivation at every stage, just like that broken camera, the camera lost his ability to do the things that it was good at, but it was still kept the faith in itself, and it kept motivated that I'm going to succeed. And that happens in life. Sometimes I know of a child who was a brilliant dancer. She was a very good dancer, but unfortunately, she had an accident and she lost the use of her left leg. But she got up and she tried, and she's been able to dance with one leg because she was determined to dance. So sometimes it happens, sometimes misfortunes happen, and you have to keep yourself motivated. And then you might find that you're still the best because many of these things happen from the soul. Managing is very important. When we look at the mind uh, from the head, you always have to, when you're not thinking from the heart but from the head, uh, you have to start with setting goals. If I want to become maybe a great dancer, I need to know by when I will reach a certain level of proficiency. I need to set goals that I'm going to practice dancing thrice a week, and I'm going to do it at least 2 hours a day. And how I'm going to do it, maybe which school or who is going to guide me, who will be my teacher, and what exams I'll pass. You have to break it down to goals. And sometimes there are small goals, sometimes there are big goals. But to achieve the big goals, you have to keep small goals in mind, small steps. Time management, planning. So when you're looking at life as a manager, you should be a manager of your own life, manager of self. Time management is very important. It often happens that there are some students who are really talented or really good at their work, but they never give their homework on time, or they never submit their assignments on time, or they never reach on time when they say, I'm going to be there at 9 o'clock, but I come at actually land up at 10 o'clock or 10:30. So it's very important to look at time as that it is important to honor your commitments on time and manage your time well and plan your time well. So sometimes it is difficult, but if you break down your activities, think of how much time you spent before, and then try to work in a way that you plan to be there before time, you plan to finish before time, then it will work. But time management is very important. in reaching your goals. Resilience. So things don't always go as planned. Even though you've set your goals, you've planned your time, you still have problems. There is still, I mean, if you're, imagine you're a ship on the sea, you don't know whether there's going to be a storm, you don't know whether there's going to be rain, you don't know whether a whale is going to jump up at you. But you have to be strong because you have to reach the other end, you have to reach your destination. So, resilience is very, very important. And careful use of resources. You're in the middle of the sea, you have hardly any resources left. Maybe you have to manage how much food you have left, how much water, drinking water you have left, and really plan and try to keep it safe. Be conservative. Don't throw. Don't misuse. And if you look at the again the way the world is changing, responsible use of, you don't have to buy everything. For instance, even if you're very, very wealthy, you don't need to buy everything. You don't need to keep buying that new toy. Let's make full use of what we have, and maybe keep something to give rather than try to hoard, and use things carefully. Thinking. So again, just like managing, thinking is an art that comes from the mind. And in the future, in the very, very near future, everything is going to keep changing. So the most important skill that you can have from your mind is learning how to learn new skills. There are always going to be new software or new subjects to learn or new jobs. Everything is going to keep changing. So you'll have to keep learning how to learn new things, and that can be practiced at home. For instance, just think about something that's out of your comfort zone. Maybe you've never baked cakes before. Why don't you work with your mother and learn how to bake cakes? Or maybe you wanted to be a travel blogger. Why don't you try setting up your own travel blog? And then you learn what all is needed to get there. You learn how to research, you learn how to practice, you learn how to fail and learn new skills. Problem solving. So, as I said, so many things are changing, and you may be, later on, you may become a doctor, you may become an engineer, you may become a scientist, you may become an artist. But at every stage, you will have to be solving problems. Either you're solving problems for a patient, or you're solving problems in creativity. Maybe even in creativity, in a work of art, sometimes you're not getting the look that you want in every area. So there is a technique to solving problems, and we must learn that. So it's not just about studying hard and just storing things in your head, but it's the ability to take any situation and come up with new solutions. Decision making. Now it happens very often that you say that, oh, my mommy is going to take this decision, my dad is going to take this decision, my teacher will take this decision. But it's gradually important as you grow older to be able to take your own decisions and to stand for those decisions. Sometimes those decisions are easy decisions, sometimes they are tough decisions, but it is important to take decisions, because if you don't, you can't move forward. And I'm hoping that many of you become CEOs, many of you become entrepreneurs, many of you take up important positions in an organization. And for that, being able to take a decision at a very short notice is very important. Critical thinking. Now, critical thinking isn't about criticizing, but really looking at a problem and analyzing it and seeing exactly, what could be wrong, or what could be, what look at things that are beyond what is visible and come up with conclusions. So it means pulling yourself out of it and really looking at things differently, whether it is the state of the country, or whether it is something about your daily homework, or maybe things that are happening in your family. It's important to pull back, think critically. You might be able to suggest solutions in a different way. It goes without saying that creativity is very important today, and it's something that will remain important. Even as robots are taking over and everything is getting automated, creativity is something that's not going to go away. And creativity doesn't only mean that only artists and designers have to be creative and everyone else has to be logical. Anyone can be creative, and creativity will only take you forward. So all these different things that I talked about are linked to your heart, hands, head, health. These That's where we started, and these are the values that come together and that will target the skills that tomorrow companies will look for from you, and they're also looking at how to make you a successful person, both as an individual, in your family, and in your community, in your country, in your place of work. It will help you succeed. It will help you become that famous artist, or that great politician, or that great scientist, or that great CEO. It will help you make a difference to the world. It will help you make a difference to the country and live a more meaningful life. So, this is how all those different values and aspects that I talked about come together. Thank you, and now I'm open for questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, it was indeed a wonderful experience listening to you, and we got a great insight on the topics like cooperation, empathy, managing conflicts, and it sure pushed our curiosity buttons. Including me, I think everyone has several questions to be asked. So, before anyone, ma'am, I would like to ask my question. Ma'am, can I?
Sure, sure. Please go ahead. Yes, please go ahead. I think you're on mute.
Sorry, ma'am. Okay. Ma'am, uh, so where did I got you?
Yes, I heard till that you would like to ask a question.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So, ma'am, starting with a quote of William James, the greatest discovery of my generation is that human beings can alter their life by altering their attitudes. So, ma'am, does attitude play such an important role in our journey towards a um, disciplined life? And if it does, so how can we change our attitude towards a positive attitude? Because we all know that changing attitude is a very tedious and hard task.
Definitely. Attitude plays a big role in the success of an individual. If you have a positive attitude, the world can be achieved. And if you have a negative attitude, you're always thinking about challenges, barriers, but you're not really thinking of what can be done ahead in a positive sense. So, one way of changing your attitude is to remember that your happiness lies within yourself. Just like I started with yourself, all these values are within yourself. Your attitude also is something that you can control. You can mindfully control it. If you're feeling negative, you should look within yourself and see what are the reasons why you're feeling negative. How can I remove them? How can I not talk negatively about my situation? And how can I turn it around? So the answers are really within yourself. You have to look at how you can change things, and definitely it will help. Don't give in to the negative at all.
Thank you, ma'am. I think Tanishka has her question.
Thank you, Divyansh. Good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, if I have your permission, I would like to ask a question too.
Sure, Tanishka.
Yeah. So my question is, will it be right to say that character to a certain extent is hereditary, but it is built by acquiring a long list of virtues?
Yes, character can be, in a sense, hereditary, because you learn a lot from your elders, your parents, because you've been observing them right from the beginning. So if your mother is a person who is always giving to the community, you know somewhere in your heart that this is the right thing to do. And it's more by observing her that you also give. Or if you see that your father works very hard and comes back late and he's always working, then you feel that hard work is important for success. So it's what you observe around you. Definitely, those characteristics are there. But having said that, there are even certain traits that you are born with. Now, I have two puppies at home. They are both twins, and twin puppies born on the same day at the same moment. But one is very naughty, and one is very gentle and very playful. So it happens that even when you're born, you come with certain traits, and you may be like your mother or your father or like your grandfather. So there are certain traits that you are born with, and mostly they are positive. But if they are negative, then you can change them, you can control them if you work on it.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'll surely keep that in mind. Well, I can see Rajul raising his hand. Rajul, you can ask your question.
Yes, Raju?
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Am I audible?
Yes, very well.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask a question. So, can I carry on?
Yes, please.
Ma'am, so my question was that, like, we know that change is the only constant. So, should we also bring changes to our personality or our character with time, or adapt to the situation that we are currently in?
Yes, definitely one has to be adaptable if it is in a positive way. So if you are in a situation where maybe you're a quiet person, but the situation demands that you should talk. So you should maybe make a group of people you trust around you and ask them to observe you, ask them for feedback. How did I sound that day? Or can I use some more examples or more ideas? You get feedback from your friends and try and work on it. Put yourself in situations which you are scared of. Like sometimes you are very scared of public speaking, but throw yourself over there. Maybe first time you'll stammer, second time you'll stammer, but third time you will say you'll do well. So never shy away from a challenge like that. And yes, if the situation demands, be adaptable, especially if it is in the positive direction.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I have understood. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
I see Tanishka Billa from class 11th has raised her hand. Tanishka, you can ask your question.
Yeah. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
So, ma'am, my question to you is, ma'am, which all values we must retain in ourselves in order to excel in life?
So I would always put honesty and integrity first. I feel that to excel anywhere in life, being honest and true to what you are doing is very important. Be determined so that you always have a goal and you are sticking to it no matter what challenges come. So, determination is another important goal. And be giving, because wherever you go, if you always make sure that you are giving, it should not only be that you are achieving your goal and you don't have the ability to give. Whatever you're learning, whatever you're gaining in terms of wealth or knowledge, you should always give back. So be inspired by maybe companies like the Tatas, where every company, though they are doing very well, but they make sure that they give back to the community.
Thank you, ma'am. This gave me a lot of insight.
Sure.
Yes, Riya Batra, you can go ahead with your question. And then Aman Yadav, you can go next.
Yes, please go ahead.
Good evening, ma'am. I'm Priyakar Batra, and I had a question that as self-discipline plays an important role in student life, so what are some ways to master self-discipline?
To master self-discipline, one should first of all be clear what your goal is. The first step is get a goal in mind. So whether you want to, maybe you want to join the army, or maybe you want to become a doctor, and then you set a timetable for yourself that every day I'm going to practice for so long. Every day I'm going to make sure that I take feedback from my teacher. And you put small size, you have your big goal and then you have your small daily goals and try to practice them. And sometimes you fall off, but you should have the determination to get back. So if like for instance losing weight is a challenge for some, but sometimes you may drop off, and sometimes you should make sure that you get back to the goal every time, and keep a goal always, a daily goal and a long term goal. That really helps.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
Aman Yadav, you can ask your question.
Yes, Aman? I can't hear you. Maybe are you on mute?
I think Amanya is having some technical issues. No worries. We can go on with Ravoli Sharma. Ravoli, you can ask your question.
Yeah, technical glitches are parts and parcels these days.
Yes.
One has to learn to live with it.
Good evening,
So, yes,
ma'am.
go ahead.
Good evening, ma'am. Myself, Rivoli Sharma. And ma'am, my question is how learning that is changing in higher education needs a new discipline.
Uh, yes, that's a very good question and an important one. So I don't know if you all are aware of NEP 2020, which is the new the national education policy. That is also giving a lot more flexibility to the student to choose what subjects they want to study, the minors, majors. So it puts a lot of control in the hands of the student also in higher education. So that discipline of making the right choice and also sticking to it is needed. This is a new challenge and a new need. And also the fact that the discipline of keeping to your goals and your studies, that remains as an important one. And the discipline of giving to the community and the environment is also very important, because there are so many changes happening, there's pollution, and how can you contribute to the environment? That is something that you always keep in mind even when you are in
Thank you, ma'am.
college.
Rivoli, that was indeed a good question. Ma'am, Rivoli's question got me wondering that does approach for a class 6 student and for a class 12 student of character building are similar or different?
That is again a very good question. I feel that character and the traits and what is good and what is bad remains the same, but it does happen that the situations get more complex as you grow older. So the scenarios or the situations where you have to make certain decisions get more complex at high school level and at a college level and at a working level, and you have less and less control over certain situations also sometimes. But so I would say that the good traits and the bad traits remain the same, but the way you train you may use more scenarios as you grow older, or expose them to real life situations where they are solving problems. Whereas maybe in earlier stages, some examples or like the animation films or short films can help to explain the concept. As you grow older, maybe you need to jump into it and face the challenges and uh, look at real scenarios. That would help. So hope that
Thank you
answers
so
your
much,
question.
ma'am. That was
Sure.
answered very detailed. Yes, Radhika, you can go ahead with your question.
Good evening, ma'am. I have a question that does education play a vital role in character development?
Education, the right kind of education definitely does play an important role. Education should be holistic. It should not just focus on your core subjects. It should also focus on value building and inculcating all these important values of honesty, giving, discipline, apart from learning your theorems. So, holistic education definitely plays a role. But yes, there are many people who don't have access to education for different reasons. And they are also, some of them have great character and great values.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
We'll only be taking one last question. So, Darshya, would you like to ask your question?
Yeah. Good evening, ma'am. So my question is, what quality should I seek within a stranger to perceive him or her with a strong character and someone as not?
That is actually a very good question and a tough one, because people also put on sometimes mirrors, put on a face or a mask when they are talking to others. So you have to have the ability to see through that mask. But definitely, when a person starts talking, you really get a sense of how deep they are. So I would say don't go by looks. Don't go by, oh, this person looks very glamorous, or this one looks like maybe Priyanka Chopra, so it must be good. Really look at what they are saying, and how deep they are, how much they understand of what's going on in the world, how kind they are to people who are less privileged. If you see somebody who's being rude to a waiter, then maybe there is something to look at in terms of, that maybe this person is not such a nice person as they make out to be. So these
Thank you so
traits.
much, ma'am.
Sure, sure.
Thank you so much for answering our questions, ma'am. We are very enlightened to have you here. But for the formal thanks, I'd like to ask Nadiya ma'am to join the mic.
Thank you so much, Tanishka. Thank you so much, Manisha ma'am. The PPT, the presentation was phenomenal. I think it was wonderful. And I hope all our children and the people who are watching us on YouTube must have understood that in the present scenario, when social and moral values are struggling to exist in the cutthroat competition, character and discipline are such virtues which are essential and very, very relevant. So we summarize this stating that, and I really love that sentence, ma'am, when you were saying, never lose your self confidence, because if you don't believe that you're a star, how would others believe that? So, yes, that's very, very important, children. Thank you so much, ma'am. We have been fortunate to have you as a resource person for today's webinar. I am really thankful to the entire participants as well as the management of the school for this webinar. And I'm sure the school will continue to get the significant provisions from the diverse groups in the future too. Thank you so much. Signing off for today. But before we leave, if we could just have some smiling faces on screen. So if I can have all my children put on their camera for a moment and do not open your mic, just smile so we can have a picture, quick picture.
Lovely to see all of you. Wonderful, beautiful faces. Lovely to see.
You have to smile
If
also.
all of them you, I really wanted you to see them all.
Yeah, it's a treat. Believe me, it's wonderful to see all of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Dr. Nair, you would like to say something?
Thank you. Yeah, I think it started with big and small, and we have seen in the question answer session what is big and what is small. A very small question can be a great question. And what I really personally liked is managing the differences, as well as the caring, as well as compassion that the children can ensure that is happening in their life. all the children, and I thank ma'am for touching the entire life cycle of a person. It is around 36 items that you have covered, and out of which I think around 33% each is going to the head and the heart, and remaining some 15 to 20% for the hand and the health part of it. And that covers the entire life cycle. And it has been truly grateful for you, for us to be having you over here. And within, I think, 45 minutes, you have been able to touch base on 36 items. That shows that how is your deep dive knowledge on this aspect of this. So I'm sure that our children will also start practicing, and also they will try to inculcate those competencies that is required for these things as skills. Skills is attached with the competencies, so you may practice those small little competencies. And thank you so much, and thank you, Nadiya and Anupam and Alka, for inviting